Hey y'all, it's me, Dr. Daniel, Dr. Lynn Daniel, PhD EDS. I am the self care evangelist, and I am your instructor here at the Hillman Talk University Spring 2025 session in the course Self Care and Social Emotional Wellness through Bronfenbrenner's Ecological Systems Theory. Welcome to week 4, and today's course session will be a recorded course session that you are watching here live on TikTok. And you will also find this video on my TikTok page. Just go there and you'll find it there. And share it with your friends. Share this information with people who you feel will be benefited from it, who will take the time to understand it and learn. You will also find this recording in the course content and then on that other site that has the initials YT, but that site is going to have commercials, so just know that. Okay, so you all, today we are talking about, let me pull up our slide. We're going to take a look at social, emotional, and ethical learning for week 4. Week 4 is looking at the external systems that impact your social, emotional wellness, your self care and social, emotional wellness. So, the C learning model, I believe, is a very effective tool for us to use to examine our self care and social, emotional learning. And I love how this puts ethical in it. You know why? Because ethics is a very important part of knowing what is best for you. Okay? All right, so and by the way, let me give credit to Emory University's Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion Based Ethics for the C Learning Model. This model was published in February of 2023. That's when I discovered it anyway, around that time. And I will say that I do lightly use this model in my bigger course, my real big self care course, and it's powerful. It's a powerful tool, very highly effective, generating an outcome, an effective, a high outcome of goodness, if you will, right? For self care and for learning about yourself. All right, let's move on. Let's go ahead and proceed. Okay, so here we go. This tells you what it stands for: social, emotional, and ethical learning, the C learning model, developed by Emory University to cultivate the holistic well being and ethical awareness. And it expands upon the traditional SEL model by integrating the ethical component. And again, it does provide this structured approach for nurturing resilience, that ability to bounce back from trauma or inconveniences or varying degrees of impositions on us, okay? And that ethical reasoning is very important to self care and wellness. So the 9 components are shown here. And so we have the domain that refers to the level at which learning and application of this knowledge occurs. So you have the personal domain. So the domains go up and down the sides. You have the social domain. You have the systems domain. So the personal domain is where you will focus on your self awareness, increasing, becoming aware of your self awareness, your attention to it. How self aware are you? Okay. And self awareness includes your ability to regulate your emotions. So you will gain and practice gaining clarity about your ability to regulate your emotions, and then your ability to bounce back from an array of inconveniences on a scale of minor to major to trauma, right? Your ability to bounce back, that resilience. Now, that's the personal domain. The social domain is going to teach you and give you practice with relationships and communication and building empathy towards others, okay, in your social circles of influence and maybe even beyond your social circle of influence. Okay, and then the systems domain helps you to examine your ethical decision making, societal structures, and global responsibility. Alrighty, if you have any questions about any of these, then just put your question, put your question in there. Like in the, you're on the live, so, and I will be able to see back. Now, just to be honest with you, I don't know if I'll be able to see your comments or questions. So, but if you do have one about any of this so far, you'll be able to direct message me or in the course message me, okay? Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the dimensions. So, look, the dimensions go across the top right. You see that awareness, compassion, and engagement. So, now dimensions help us to look at, oops, dimensions helps us to become mindful of ourselves. So we're getting to the core aspect of learning that cuts across all of the domains. So we're in our awareness, we're developing mindfulness, we are recognizing emotions and understanding ourselves better. So we're cutting across the domains, okay? All the domains in these settings. So personal, social, and systemic. So our awareness, our compassion, and our engagement. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. I'm turning off my phone. That's too, it keeps interrupting me. Compassion, cultivating that empathy and kindness and commitment to the well being of others. And see, when you are like, what I've discovered for me and for people in my circle of influence in my microsystem, when you're not well or when you have needs, it can blind you from the needs of others. And I have to check myself on this regarding how I am responding with empathy to others. Right. I take time to check that because that's a part of me understanding I need to check my awareness of things. And it also helps me to see if my empathy could be manipulated by someone who is selfish and who is totally self centered and narcissistic. So for me, taking a step back to observe, you know, my awareness, my compassion, how I'm engaging with people, how I'm engaging with my circles of influence in society, how I'm engaging with the systems, you know, I'm able to check and see I feel like I'm being manipulated here or I feel like this person is not being straightforward. And that's what I noticed for myself from using this model in my big class, my big BIG, my big social emotional class that goes for 12 weeks. That class goes 12 weeks. It's a 90-day challenge. It goes deep. Every day you're doing something, you're drilling down, you're really doing putting in the work, and it is not that class is not no. I handpick the people to join me there because you have got to be ready to face your demons in that class. And you have got to, if you feel like you don't have the emotional capacity, you may even need a team to help you because I'm your educator. I'm a teacher. By profession, I am a professional educator. So I'm not a licensed counselor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. My sister is, that's her domain, right? But I'm not. And so I come to you as an educator showing you how to learn about the tools and the approaches and the theories that you can apply and the concepts, the conceptual frameworks that you can apply to your life to examine your self care and social emotional wellness. So that's how I'm coming to you. So as we are looking at the C model for week 4, we're looking using this tool. Okay? So just note that the domains and the dimensions will help you to understand where you are to ensure a holistic experience, a holistic approach to your development at integrating mindfulness, ethics, and practical applications. Now, ethics, people get twisted up when they hear the word ethics. Okay? So sometimes people think, like when we hear, oh, so and so is an ethical person, we all should be ethical. So, it helps us to be able to examine our awareness of justice and truth and correctness. Okay? So, ethics, us having an understanding of ethics, we are able to then make better judgments about is someone right for our life. So you will hear people in social settings say, don't judge me, only God can judge me. Well, that is that is a limited truth. For yourself, for your life, it is your responsibility as an ethical person to judge what other people bring to you. If you are going to welcome in a person, a group of people, a system, a belief system, some kind of social relationship, you have got to ask yourself, what is it that they are doing? What does it mean what they are doing? What are the yielded outcomes of what they are doing? And if those things are right for my life and for me, that is you judging. So if someone says, don't judge me, only God can judge me, that is a limited truth. We're not condemning. When you judge, you're not condemning the person to anywhere. You are simply looking at it through the lens of ethics. Is this person right for me based on what they stand for, what they represent, what they believe, how they manage their life, what they are doing? Will that impact me positively, neutrally, or negatively? And do I want to deal with that? Okay? All right. So let's move on. So When we are looking at awareness, you all, we as learners of life should constantly be checking our awareness of things. Like, because awareness is simply taking a stop, a pause, a step back to recognize what's going on and to recognize if you even know what is going on. Like right now in our political and social realm, there is a population of individuals who are so disconnected or so frozen, or they're putting their head in the sand that they lack awareness of what is really going on. What they see going on, they have no context because they lack an understanding or an awareness of certain kinds of history. American history, European history, recent history, history from the 1930s, the 1940s. They lack an understanding of that, so they don't know what's in their faces. And you'll hear it colloquially said, "Oh, don't play in my face," or "They're playing right in my face." Yes, people, life, things are always playing in our faces if we lack awareness. And we won't recognize that they're playing in our faces until we increase our understanding of mindfulness. We have to cultivate mindfulness so we are able to question things, including ourselves, recognize things, including ourselves, enhance our self awareness and the awareness of our settings, the awareness of our systems, the awareness of our relationships, our communication, our ethical decision making, our societal and global structures. So until we increase our awareness on these things, they're going to always be playing in our faces and we will not know what they mean. Now, our awareness also includes our understanding and recognizing how do we regulate our emotions and our behavior and our responses to, what we are experiencing. Okay? All right. I think I'm going to put myself back on because I don't want you to lose you all. So, but again, the reason I don't like to put myself on here is because it covers up words sometimes. All right. Okay, so I these are the three dimensions of SEEC learning, social, emotional, ethical learning, and we just touched on awareness. Awareness helps us to decrease people playing in our faces and increase our understanding of what's really going on. Okay, compassion helps us to foster empathy through perspective taking so we are able to put ourselves in the shoes of others and then attune our emotions in the correct level of response, or a correct response, or a response that matches what empathy people need. Now, and then of course it leads to pro-social behavior and moral responsibility. But again, our awareness will help us to see, our awareness about our compassion will help us to see if someone is playing in our face to manipulate our emotions. Okay? And then when we recognize someone is doing that, then we construct a response. And our response could be as sophisticated as we want it or as raw as we want it. It all depends on the social setting, right? And the impact and the outcome that you want to make. But the reason I'm bringing this tool to you is because I have asked you all in this course in week 3, I've asked you to do some things that may trigger like a highly emotional response or a highly, the potential, the room for a highly emotional response to happen. So until you really understand, like, well, dag, I don't have to let myself be my buttons to be pushed and then me flying off the handle. I can already, and many of you are already here, but everyone is not already here. And I'm not even all the way where I feel I could be. So I often fine tune, I often do these revisits to examine, to evaluate where I am, to assess where I am, to see if what I'm doing is effective or could be fine tuned, and then I act accordingly. So please don't feel like I am trying to act like I'm the know it all and I'm bringing you, that you know nothing. No, no teacher knows it all. Teachers have a skill set and an area of expertise, which I do, right? As an educator with many 4 decades of classroom teaching experience, but I still don't know it all. But what I do know, I'm presenting to you all in this course with the heart that you all will take these approaches and use them. Use them. Okay. So that's compassion. You having that emotional attunement and response so that then you can make a pro-social re- re- response in your behavior and your moral decision making. And then when we engage, so then we engage ethically. So we're not manipulating people. We're not allowing ourselves to be manipulated. We're not we are doing, when you're ethical, we are making decisions that are based on justice and truth and rightness. Rightness. Okay? So, and oftentimes, yes, you look at, okay, so what is right ethically or by a law or by a standard, okay, by a statute or by a biblical principle or a belief that you have. Because oftentimes you will see where legal laws of a land may go against, they are anti-biblical standards and principles. So then, which one are you going to go by? When put in a hard place, when you stand on an ethical decision, when you're put in a position where you have to choose between a law, like slavery is the law, and then a moral, ethical decision, I will hide slaves. You've broken the legal law of the land, but you've upheld a biblical principle about how to kindly treat your neighbor or the immigrants in your land, or how to treat people with humanity and dignity. So when you engage in society, in relationships, you're doing it based on justice, truth, and what's right. Actions that are just, true, and right. And so, self care, guys, I told you all, self care is more than manicures and massages. Self care is deep. And I'm looking at I'm currently looking at an aspect of self-care that I have not seen addressed in the literature by scholars, but I often hear it talked about just in conversations like on social media. You hear people talking about it, but nobody's addressing it. And so I'm looking at it because it's a major component of self-care. Okay? So again, let's look at the domains. So the domains are going at the level at which the learning and the application occurs. So listen, you could learn a whole bunch of stuff, but if you never apply it, that's not learning. Learning, you take when you apply, you take the risk of doing, just like with me learning Spanish. Okay, so the Spanish I know, I always joke and say is I'm like a preschool child, which I probably am. Like a preschool child could probably have a better conversation that I can, but the little I do know, I'm never going to get any better because I'm scared to use it, ashamed that I'm going to sound, it'll be so wrong that, and I already know that people are willing, they're more willing to help you correct it without shaming you. I already know that. But it's something in the ego that prevents me from taking the risk and just saying a complete like in the grocery store, like asking for what I am looking for in Spanish, describing it in Spanish, the colors, the size, the shape, the name of the product, or whatever. Now, I already know, like, I need to get that, I need to do something about applying the knowledge, the little knowledge I have. Because your learning will never improve. So, personally, when you're focusing on self regulation, that's that covers the triggers. So in your relationships, if you're in relationship with people who are constantly triggering you, examine that, evaluate that, and ask yourself why. Because you're getting something out of being in a relationship that is constantly triggering you. Now, let's go deeper. If it's your employment and you've decided, well, I'm there because I need to feed my family, boom, you have your purpose. Now, your job then is to focus on self regulating yourself when triggered. Bringing with you, taking with you on that job the emotional resilience so that you bounce back quickly. Boom. A trigger happens. You put in whatever you're saying, whatever your reaction is. It could be a silent reaction or a verbal one. It could be you turning around, walking away, continuing with your work, you ignoring it. It could be a whole array of responses so that you send the message that I have better things to do. So see, that's a part of your self-regulation. That's you taking control of how you respond or react. You don't react. You respond. Okay? And these are things when you're in a school that can teach social emotional learning, because here in Arizona we cannot teach social emotional SEL like in that way, right? It has to, if you're discussing how characters are managing themselves in a book, in a story, or something like that, okay, boom, you can address it. But we can't teach students to have emotional resilience and cognitive understanding of how to build inner strength and well-being. We have to look at it in other characters, which, okay, I'm okay with that, since that's the conditions under which we are forced to live in our social societal domain. Okay. Okay. So that's personal, focusing on that self regulation. And then your social awareness, the social domain, is where you develop skills that improve your interpersonal relationships, your communication with those that are closest to you, the people you really love and care about. Like listening is a communication skill. Listening, when I was a little girl, my grandmother just would listen to me. My maternal grandmother is my heart and soul. She has had, she's gone on now, but when I think back on my life, it seems like the core memories and the major like growth opportunities or meaningful engagements were with her. They were with her, you know? And so she would listen to me. She would she would listen. I remember, and this is personal, but to me it's also social, because in the setting, I'll show you how it's social. So in the social setting of family, so my grandmother still had children at home. They were growing up, like adolescents all the way down to the little ones. But then my mom, her oldest daughter, had three little ones. And so my grandmother had a house full of children when we were there to attend to, from adolescents all the way down to little ones. Okay? And my grandpa was off at work. That's how it was done in those days. My grandpa worked, he was a army veteran, and he worked for the U.S. Department of, what is that? U.S. Postal Service. That was his career when he came from the army. And so, in the social setting, with all those children to attend to, when I wanted to help my grandma cook dinner one time, so I went out in the yard and gathered up leaves and grass and put them in a little plastic bag or some kind of something and took it to her and said, Here, mama, here's dinner. I'm helping you with dinner." She listened. She said, "Oh, thank you, sweetie," or something so kind and gentle. Probably gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Took the little bag, put it in the cupboard. I saw her put it up there, as I recall, and then went to the store, I guess, and bought greens and cooked them. And then when I saw my little bag still in the cabinet, I said, "Grandma, you didn't cook my greens?" She said, "Oh, sweetie, I cooked your greens," or something like that, like just to comfort me, right? Right, right. Enhancing interpersonal relationships through communication, active listening, conflict resolution. Man, I wish I had these skills when I was 20, in my 20s. I wish I knew this stuff when I was in my 20s. Right? Right. Okay, so systems, the domain of systems, understanding structural inequalities, ethical considerations, and the interconnectedness of global issues to foster systemic change. And this is where we are right now in the United States. This is right in our face, and you can't play about it. It's in our face, in our faces. Okay? And people want a certain type of society that is exclusive. They're not calling it that, but that is what they want. And you have got to, as when you're healing, When you're doing your self care work, your social emotional learning and healing, your social emotional and ethical learning, you have to call things what they are. People want a certain exclusive society that excludes a major portion of the American society. So, what are the just right, correct considerations for this? And how does it connect with global issues? Other countries are not going to want to deal with us on many levels, and it's going to have an impact on systems. So, this is what you're learning. This is what week 4 is asking you to do. Okay? To become more aware. Become more aware. I like so I'm skipping to the third bullet. It says interconnection of dimensions and domain encourages students to develop a broader perspective, moving beyond individual experiences to consider community and global well-being. This is going to help you to know how to make ethical decisions for your family in today's climate, political and social climate. Bullet 2 says your self awareness enables deeper empathy, which in turn informs ethical Decision making. So, you all, we are right on time with week 4. What we're learning in week 4 is going to create a dynamic and integrative learning experience for you to where you can take self care from, oh, I'm exercising 30 minutes every day for the next 3 months. Oh, I'm going to drink green smoothies every morning for the next 7 days. Oh, I'm going to get a massage every week for the next 90 days. It's taking you from the very entry point of self care to the major high school, college level thinking and impact of self care, shaping and framing your integration of your awareness, your empathy, your decision making to help your whole community, your whole microsystem. So, your family of origin, or your family that you spend the most time with, your family of choice, your community, your church, your school, your street, right? Your block, your subdivision. Like, I'm hearing people have conversations about in their communities, in their subdivisions, in on their street. They are going in 4 and 5 families deep and they're having meetings. They are agreeing on who will be in charge of what aspect of their self care, who's in charge of food. Okay, we'll all stock our cupboards with so many, so much worth of whatever, whatever. Someone will be in charge of security and safety. Someone will be in charge of communication. Like, people are having these conversations, guys. And this is all self care. So, the third bullet is talking about encouraging students. I am encouraging my students to develop a deeper and broader perspective, moving beyond, well, I'm going to get my hair done every week or every month, to, well, I am going to build a communication and trusting system with my best friend, the usher at church, and Willie Bobo who builds fences or whatever. The guy around the corner, Willie Bobo, who knows how to fix things, the handyman. And we are going to exchange phone numbers or get walkie talkies, and we are going to stay in communication about what's going on so we can navigate in this manner. Boom. Next slide. Okay, I'm not covering up any words. Okay, so the core focus on compassion. Well, I mean, you all know this is rooted in neuroscience, compassion training. Okay, neuroscience is science that deals with your neurological system, your brain stem, and all the feelings, that system. I ain't no scientist, but you all know what I mean. It ties in with your muscles, right? It ties in with your muscular system. So your neural system is you thinking and you knowing and you regulating yourself and you feeling stuff. Okay? So if you are aware of that, if you know that the knowledge, the awareness and the things you focus on impact all those millions of miles, however many miles of nerves that go through your nervous system, neurons, all of it, axions, or whatever they're called. So your what you know and what you don't know impacts that, right? So this model is rooted in neuroscience. So it's built, is founded in that, and it goes deep in that. And so the curriculum that goes along with this, here is the you can download this. This is the C model, C learning model right here. Okay, so Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion Based Ethics. When you go Google it, you'll find it. Okay. And this curriculum includes contemplative practices, guided reflections, role playing, real world application. Role playing is important. I used to do role playing when I taught middle school, and we were teaching like we would have advisory, and then we would get a lesson. The school would provide us with the topic and, you know, a lesson, and then activities. And the students love to act out the lesson, the examples of what we covered, because it grounds that learning in you. That learning becomes a core part of your experience. It helps you to understand, okay, what did I just learn? What is this trying to teach me? And it embeds it in your knowledge and in your memory. So role playing. So you could, role play with your children. Like many years ago when I would teach adults with they had limited ability. I don't know how to phrase it nowadays, the terminology, the politically correct terminology that is used today, but like we would call it their disability, but now I think it's called I don't know. But anyway, there was a time in my career where I would teach adults who had um, disabilities, cognitive disabilities, understanding and learning disabilities, and we would teach them. We would we would teach them certain actions, and we would take them in the real world then to play out that exercise and model what they learned and apply what they learned in the classroom in their home setting. They will then go out into the real world, and it's very much like scripting. So you would teach them what to say, what to ask for, how to manage themselves, how to stand properly, the level of their voice, like how loud or softly should you be speaking, the tone, what words to use, how to hold your hands if they needed that. Like we would teach them. There was a curriculum. It was a part of their prescript prescribed management and instructional management. So this is real stuff. We all could use this. Right now, people don't even know what to say when they call their legislators. One lady I saw on a blog where she was yelling at the legislator's secretary, not making any sense, not knowing what to ask for, and the secretary or person on the other end was, you could hear them. They were so gentle and patient. So if you are going out in the real world to apply, then you need to go out prepared with a guided reflection, a guided role play, a scripted, until you learn to know how to do it on your own. Okay? So this approach encourages learners to develop ethical awareness through mindful engagement in social and systemic issues. Remember, ethics deals with the character of the person. Is that person credible, truthful, just, right? Are they righteous? Are they rightful, accurate, correct in what they are doing? The things, the actions they are taking, are they just, right, reasonable actions? What will the outcome be? So, yes, you better be judging. When if someone tells you don't judge them, they mean don't condemn them. No, we're not going to condemn you, but I have to judge you to see if what you're doing is right for me and my family, my microsystem, right? My mesosystem, my exosystem. You're going to have people in those systems, my macro system, my chrono system. Over time, you will have people come in to those systems of your life who you will have to call out or separate yourself from because of how they roll, how they live, how they conduct themselves, how they impact you and your family. All of this is self care, guys. Okay? So, application deals with you doing the action of what you've learned. So, if you're not doing the action, just like me and my Spanish, scared to go to the grocery store and ask for things in Spanish, scared. Why you scared, Lynn? Because I know I'm going to be wrong and I don't know if I can understand what they're saying. Like, I think I might understand some of what they're saying, but I might not understand everything. Okay, then, well, tell them that, Lynn. I'm just kind of right. I'm just kind of modeling for you the conversation you might have to have with yourself. All right. So when we are applying our learning, we incorporate mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness, guys. There's so much on mindfulness. Let me see if I can. Okay, so these are the companions for the C learning. Let me see. These are the companions. Okay, kindness, practicing empathy, compassion. Let me see if I can find something on. Okay, here, I think this might be mindfulness. Hold on, wait, hold on. Strategy one. What is this for, though? I think this is mindfulness. I might be wrong. Hold on. Okay, this one is Strategy one, slowly drink a glass of water, fill it in your mouth and throat. What do you notice on the inside? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? So this helps to increase your awareness of your body. It says these strategies are simple, quick actions that can be practiced to return our body, mind, and attention to the present moment. They function as useful ways to reset and bring your body back to a place of balance, the resilient zone. Okay, strategy one, slowly drink a glass of water and fill it in your mouth and throat and notice it. Strategy two, name six colors you see. What do you notice on the inside? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Strategy three, look around the room and notice what catches your attention. What do you notice on the inside? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Strategy four, count backwards from 10 as you walk around the room. What do you notice on the inside? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? There are a lot of activities here. Um, Mindfulness, here's some right here. Grounding. Mindful eating practice. Put the snack close to your mouth, but don't eat it yet. Just look at it, feel its texture, smell it, listen to it. Take a bite of the snack. Don't swallow right away. How does it feel? Taste. How does it sound? Stretching and massage. So these incorporate mindfulness techniques, self-reflection, and stress reduction to improve mental resilience so you can bounce back. Like if you've been knocked off kilter by someone's inconvenience, rude comment, and then like if this escalates into something really big, and maybe this is why some people are frozen because they're frozen in the mindfulness activity, or maybe they've skipped it and they're just frozen. Yeah. Okay, on the social level, and I need to watch my time, 52 minutes. Social level, practice active listening, perspective taking, and effective communication to enhance relationships and collaboration. And that's in your social circles of influence, communities. And then systems level, dealing with laws and culture and systems that, you know, have leadership and all. Learning about social justice frameworks, ethical leadership, and civic engagement to create meaningful societal impact. In conclusion, the C learning is a transformative approach that integrates emotion, ethics, and action to create compassion and engaged individuals. It combines social emotional skills with ethical awareness to navigate personal, social, and systemic challenges with wisdom and empathy. And that's what the ethical part does. Having ethical awareness increases your wisdom because it helps you to know, to quickly understand, to quickly see, have an awareness of what is right for you and what is not, and then to respond. Adaptive, this is adaptable across cultural and educational contexts, fostering a global perspective on well-being and ethical leadership, and it aims to create a compassionate and just society by empowering students with the tools to address both personal and societal challenges. Here are the references, the information that was used to build today's presentation. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate you all being here. We are at 54 minutes. I want to keep this under 60 minutes so that I can upload it to TikTok. All right. Thank you all for being here. Go forth and apply what you have learned. Practice it, read it, practice, 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 then go out and apply it. Do it. Be blessed.